All love, first and foremost, just to let all you guys know, I'm a nobody. I'm not better than the person in front of me, behind me, to my left or right. I'm just a guy and a man who wants to be bold for Christ and glorify Him and in the gospel, who wants to talk about different topics that are circling around all throughout society, all throughout the world. No matter where I'm at, I got to be bold for Christ and live for Him. But with further ado, let's go ahead and get into this video. So more than 100 people were killed in an attempt to escape Drc's largest prison. We're gonna get into that, guys, and I'm gonna apply biblical scripture with the text on what happened. So, guys, we realize when it comes to being in the face of a devastating situation, the words of the Bible bring both comfort and perspective. The scripture teaches us about compassion, justice, and sanctity of life. It is written, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." And from Matthew chapter 5, verse 4. This verse reminds us that in the times of sorrow and loss, comfort is promised to those who grieve. So we all know those prisoners, they were wrong for escaping the prisons, but they still have families. And we know their families are grieving right now. So we should definitely have a respect for those prisoners' families, because they're grieving because they lost a loved one. But the Bible also speaks to the issue of justice, which is found in Proverbs chapter 21, verse 15, which also states, "When justice is done, it brings joy to the righteous, but terror to the evildoers." The pursuit of justice is a fundamental aspect of the biblical message, urging societies to ensure that righteousness prevails and that those who have done wrong are held accountable in a manner that is just and fair. So, guys, within the society, we all have consequences. We all have consequences when we disobey God. When we disobey Him, we all have consequences that we all have to pay, even for myself. But that's why Jesus Christ is the only way. And unfortunately, what happened with those 100 prisoners being killed, they suffered the consequences for those, which was death, because God has put certain authorities in society to allow society to be safe in a way. Law enforcement is ordained by God for a reason, and we must abide by it. Now, you do have those bad apples that do things that are unlawfully, but majority of the time, the law is put here for a reason, and it's put here by God, those authorities. So, guys, remember that as well. Also, we gotta be real. We gotta be real right here. Moreover, the events described highlight the critical issue of prison conditions and the treatment of inmates. So that could have arisen. We don't know how that it could have arisen just because how they were treated. But also sometimes people just want to escape too and not serve their sentence or serve their consequence. But I just wanted to put this hint in here also, which is also addressed in the scripture of Hebrews chapter 13, verses 3, which instructs, "Remember those who are in prison as though in prison with them, and those who are mistreated, since you also are in the body." This passage calls for empathy and solidarity with those who are incarcerated, urging us to remember their humanity and the challenges they face. So we can all remember, yeah, they're in jail for the consequences, but also, we should still treat them as human beings, because they are humans. They are. And that's where the mercy comes in, knowing that, hey, yes, they've sinned, and yes, they're in jail for their consequences of what they did, but still treat them as humans. And I'm not saying the jails in DRC, I'm not saying they were treating them wrong. I don't know how they were treating them, but that can be a big factor into it too. How the facilities are, how they treat the inmates. Do they treat them like human beings still, although they are locked up for their consequences? We also have to be real with that on how that could have caused a huge outrage of people trying to escape. We've got to keep that in mind. The overcrowding conditions described at Makala prison are a stark reminder of the need for reform and the importance of upholding the dignity and rights of all individuals. The Bible's teachings encourage us all to look after the welfare of all members of society. Whether you're behind the bars or you're outside, we still should treat each other as human beings at least, with love. Advocating for systems that are just, compassionate, and respectful of human dignity. Human dignity is important, because at the end of the day, whether they're in prison or not, they're still human beings at the end of the day. In responding to such tragedies, it is also vital to come together, all of us to come together in prayer, seeking guidance, wisdom, and strength from God to heal the wounds of those affected, and to work towards a society where justice and peace will all prevail. The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves the crushed in spirit, from Psalms chapter 34 and verse 18. Just because somebody's locked up, just because they're in prison, does not mean they cannot be saved by Christ. Now, with this outrage that happened, yes, it was wrong. And justice has been served to those prisoners who tried to escape. The law enforcement had to serve and protect their community. But also, just because you're locked up in prison doesn't mean you can't be saved by Christ. Because we all have a chance to be saved by Christ and be with him in paradise. But yeah, that was from Psalms chapter 34, verse 18. This promise offers hope and reassurance that in the times of despair, God is with those who are suffering, offering his love and healing. Despite that topic I just talked about, we all are suffering and we're all in need of healing. Despite that catastrophe that was probably hectic in that area, it's probably hectic for a lot of people, even civilians, as those prisoners were escaping. Because the lives of civilians are endangered as well. But that's why, guys, we all have to come together in prayer and knowing that God is in control. He has the last say so. But all things are in the word of truth, the Bible. That's the truth. That's the only. Jesus Christ, Yeshua, is the only way. He's the only thing that can get us out of this life that is full of pain. He's the only way out. But trust in the Lord, because he will provide for you. He will provide for all of us. He will never lead us astray. So I love y'all. Stay peace. Until the next video. But hey, I'm just a guy who wants to believe, grow, inspire. I'm out.